watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Well, hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I see we've already got some folks joining us for this live episode. I am joined, as always, by my amazing host, Mr. David Johns. How you doing, David?
Doing good. What's up, everybody? Glad to have you join us in our nonsense this Sunday afternoon.
Yep. And Mr. Mark McHotwheel, if that is still his name, will be joining us later in the broadcast. He is attending to some family matters, and as rule number one of this channel goes, it is family first. So we are excited you're here. We are going to give folks a few more seconds to join. Thank you so much to, I see, Rob and Dane, and we got Derek was in here earlier. Really nice to see y'all. But yeah, this has been kind of a heady topic, especially lately, especially with that video going on. And we are going to be talking a lot more about scalping or reselling by a private vendor who has scoured the shelves ahead of everybody else and taken what is best for themselves and not as a collector. So there's a pretty controversial topic. And I think there's a little more nuance to it than a lot of people have given. And we're looking forward to that as we discuss in the show further. And while we're working on that, please leave in the comments your thoughts on the scalping problem and how you would solve it. And we'll be reading some of those later in the episode. But first, Mr. David Johns, I have to ask you, what is exciting you in the world of diecast?
Good question as always, and I got something for us today, guys. I first off I want to set the tone for this episode. This has got to be a collaboration between us and you guys. We're all out there hunting together, so any info you can give us, we welcome it, and we want to talk about it. We want this to be a conversation. All right, so first thing I got, Chuck, we have got a new brand I want to make everybody aware of. We have got a brand that Rob at Scale Enthusiasm put me on to. It is called Poster Cars. So they have a Hypercar League collection. And what you get in this very first run of cars from this new brand is 6 different hypercars. And we're talking Bugatti, we're talking Lamborghini, really cool Aston Martin. You can see them on the picture there. These things are very, very affordable for the quality that you get. I've got one we can look at just really briefly as we talk about them. I've got a McLaren here in the studio, but I'm excited about this brand. There's 12 of them, and if you go online and start looking for these guys, these are not $20. These are not even $15. They are almost within everybody's budget, about the cost of a Hot Wheels premium. And that's not a joke. You get some rubber tires with tread on them. You get lensed headlamps. Really good stuff. Excited to tell you about Poster Cars. 2 colors of the 6 different castings out in their first mix. Let's go now to Greenlight. Ran across a really cool article that pointed me towards something called Greenlight's Diecast Blast. Look at this in September, up in their HQ, which is in Indianapolis, and I didn't know that. They are doing a huge event where you get to buy some old stock, you get to sell, you get to trade, and it's just a really cool idea. This might be the first year, from what I could tell. September 18th, keep your calendars open. If you are anywhere in that area, would well be worth a detour. Another thing from Greenlight I'm pretty excited about. I'm going to get to Felix here in 1 second. May not have the picture up there, but Greenlight is putting out the Mercedes that was used by the Russian boxing minders, if you will, the guys that followed around Rocky while he was training in the snow, if you remember that. And we'll get a picture in a later episode, but it's a really cool black Mercedes sedan with a Russian flag mounted on the back. Keep your eye out. That was a Greenlight post on their Twitter maybe 24 hours ago. All right, last but not least, Tarmac Works. You guys have got to get on Instagram if you're not, and go find the Tarmac Works page, because I discovered it recently, and there are loads of previews of upcoming vehicles from Tarmac Works, how to get special releases, how to get advanced opportunities to buy those special low number runs. Felix Kwong is the creator and director of Tarmac Works, and I am so pleased to tell you he is also a future guest of a Diecast Breakdown episode. We got to sit down with Felix not too long ago, and just love everything about that company. You're going to love that interview. That's what I've got for you, Chuck. I'm really excited to hear what you are excited about. So take it away.
All righty. Well, I am excited because we are talking about a couple of things. First of all, I got to say, I love the latest RLC, the VW Bus Rock Crawler. A lot of people have had some differing opinions on that one. I think it was really clever and cool. It reminded me of the van that they just did, and the Dodge Power Wagon with the crazy suspension. It's nice to see some real innovation here. And speaking of innovations and icons, this is the next one coming up, the Hot Wheels RLC Porsche 959. It has an opening back area to the engine compartment. It is in a beautiful Spectra Flame red color. And I don't know. I think this one is nice. I like it. So
Yeah, me too.
So I am excited to have that one coming across. It'll I'll see if I can make it in the budget to be part of my collection. This is kind of a, hey, somebody's joined us. More on that in a second. Another brand I hadn't heard of. This is Hobby Fans, and they've got these very interesting, very detailed Toyota Hilux trucks that are set up for your mobile militias of the modern age.
This is wild.
It's a interesting, and I think a little controversial, but a really cool looking Hilux model that you don't see very often, and looks like some great detail on there. And for $35 a piece, not too shabby. You got some weathering, you got some dirt spray. Looks pretty good. So, and I would be remiss if I did not bring up the latest building from Monster Model Works. Jimmy is a person I'm a big fan of his. He's much like Chris Dickinson, and SK Works 75 does laser cut kits. He specializes more in model railroads, but he's been kind enough to add S scale, which is 1/64th scale, to his lineup. And this is his latest offering. It is currently on sale. It's $10 off the regular price. It will be $149.99 when it comes up. But his kits are fantastic, really well done. They are pricey, but if you want to have some really great detail in your backgrounds, they are tough to beat. And he's got some other stuff, some brick sheets and concrete sheets that are on sale as well. So just Google Monster Model Works and tell Jimmy I said hi. So, and do my ears and eyes to see me, but are we joined by Mr. Dotson Man himself? Hey. We are so glad to all three of us be here. Thank you, Mark. We mentioned you would be joining us a little later, so we're glad you're here. And you're just in time, too, because it is your turn to tell us about the things that are exciting you in the world of Diecast, starting with this beauty.
The Mom Mobile. So I think we all really like this one. Shout out to Round 2 Auto World for this beautiful Grand Caravan. I would totally put this a sleeper engine in there, 2JZ, maybe a GTR engine, and leave the Go team on there and just smoke some people.
Yeah.
So nothing super rad. Might have to pick that up. I don't even have the original one, so I'll have to grab those.
Yeah.
The original one. So this is a really cool recolor. And then this Silverado is like what I like to say. There's pre-sales hitting for Kaido House, and this thing's really, really cool. So it's kind of I think Unimai had made these for Hot Wheels, and now he's got his own spin on his own design for Kaido House. And I think I was watching a live of him talking, and he had some on the Hot Wheels ones. He had some like Easter eggs or what do you want to call them? Not Easter egg. Is it Easter eggs? Like
Yeah, I
the
think
little,
it's
That's right. Yep.
yeah, little Easter eggs where there's a little hidden like logo on the bottom of his Hot Wheel cars that I never knew about. So I think he's done some of that stuff, and it's exciting to figure that out. Because I'm like, I had no idea that he put those little things, his initials on the bottom. So
That's really cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, so I'll have to pick up one of these trucks for sure.
Yeah, this is on my list as well. Yeah.
I mean, so many dots and 510s, which is great for me, but it's really nice that to see some of these like Silverado and the R34, and he's got some other cars that just kind of listening to what the people want. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of what the people want, here's that picture of that Mercedes that David was talking about earlier from the Rocky movies, complete with little Soviet flag so that Rocky knows that you're spying on him. So, all right. Well, that is it for us in the world of diecast. I am going to give our small channel shout out because I've finally figured out how we can do this in the live show. So a small channel shout out to Irie Fix Diecasts. Rick has been
absolutely
a really cool dude. He has competed in a lot of group builds and he's a really talented customizer. So go check out his channel. It is linked in the show notes. And when we come back, we will be diving into the world of diecast scalping and how it could be solved. So stick around.
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Here's this week's small channel shout out.
Bunker Diecast Channel.
If you have a favorite diecast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The Diecast Media Network store is here. Wear your passion with pride, featuring designs from Diecast Breakdown, Flying Valiant builds, plus unique designs inspired by diecast culture from Justin Ellis. Visit tpublic.com/Diecast Media Network now.
Hey, this is Champion DJK, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
All right. Well, we are back and we are talking about a very sticky situation. Indeed, the current situation known as scalping. In the diecast community, it's been around for a very long time. In other industries, it's been around in diecast as well, but it's really starting to become a problem. So really quick, I just wanted to kind of recap something that has kind of been a highlight of this recently. There was a video by Sean Nicholas that has, as of today, over 23,000 views. It was from the Hot Wheels Legends tour in Miami. There was, you can go watch the video. Just for a quick recap, though, it shows that people saw that one of the other doors to the Walmart had gotten unlocked before the other one, and they forced the door open. They ran in. They fortunately, it looked like they weren't too hard on the staff, although the staff, it seemed they weren't ready, probably because people had forced the door and come in early to have the dump bins filled, and everybody was speed walking through and generally not being the coolest of dudes. And then
dudettes.
or dudettes. Yeah, that's true. Not there were probably some women in there. And it all culminated with a fist fight breaking out and in super treasure hunt card getting ruined because some guys were fighting over these cars. And I'm not going to call those scalpers. That is something that we need to set out first of all, because those are not necessarily scalpers, those are collectors, but those people are reacting to a situation where it's become so hard to find these things that the opportunity has made it so that pallet rating is a normal thing, and pulling boxes off of the top shelf even though you're not supposed to is a normal thing, to the point that people make videos about doing that. And, and I'm not going to hate on any people who do that for content or whatever. That is their own thing. And if you're doing it in a courteous way, good on you. And if they're cool with it, then they're cool with it. But and those guys, again, not necessarily a problem because they're collectors. That's what they do. They are building their personal collection and documenting it. What we're talking about are the people who raid the stores every morning at 6 a.m. as soon as Walmart opens. They dive in and they grab the stuff, and it's on eBay immediately, or they load up the Hot Wheels RLC Club thing with bots and already have things pre-listed on eBay because they know their bot's going to get it for them, and jack the prices up and generally hurt things as well. So we put the call out there to ask folks what their thoughts were on it and what we could do about it. And we are appreciative that we've got 21 people here today ready to talk about that. So first I wanted to start off with some comments from our request for comment earlier. Charles Diecast Garage says, simple solution, quit buying on the secondary market for a month. They'll return the unsold stuff to the store. And interesting tactic. I don't know if this crowd can, I don't know. I like, that's something I thought about. Like, would a collective ban type thing work if we all just stopped buying for a month from eBay or whatever? Simple Man Mustang Diecast said, not worth fighting for, not worth me going to jail over a toy car, which is a very good point. Those people could have very easily gone to jail over a car that is optimistically worth 30 or 40 bucks. Even with scalping prices, it's only worth that much. From what I saw, the store contributed to the problem and the way they allowed it to be and they cut off here, but free for all is what he had said. And so I'm going to turn this over to you gents for a second, starting with you, Mark. What is your take on the scalper situation?
Well, it's just one of those things that I think there is a way to kind of, one thing I've done personally lately is just make memes about the scalpers, and you just have to set a precedence that it's just not a cool thing to do, and just to poke fun at them. I mean, that's what I do personally. It's because I'm not, trying to rip on anybody, but at the same time, it's like people are out there trying to enjoy a hobby, and it becomes all about money and greed, and it's like, hey, I've made memes and made jokes about like, what are you making like in profit, per year? Are you making $600 or $500 to sell all these supers? And it doesn't make sense. Go put your efforts into something else, like completely go start a business, go lawn care business, start an auto detail company, whatever you want to do. Just go do something else and continue to collect. And, it's about, someone was said here in the comments, just be civilized. It's just called, just being a civilized human being and having compassion for other people. And, if I was standing like somewhere and like somebody grabbed a super right in front of me and I was like, oh, I was about to grab it, it's just like, it's their car, and just like, congratulations. And it's like, it's just called being like, it's sportsmanship, kind of like thing where it's just like you lose and you go shake the other team's hand. It's just like, it's the same thing with these cars. They're toy cars, people. I mean, it's fun. It's a great hobby, but they are toy cars, and it's not the end of the world if you can't find, a certain car, or if it costs too much money. There's a premium market, that's out there. Like we've, interviewed a lot of different people, but there's a premium market out there where you can go buy a car and it costs $20-$25 and you didn't have to fight anyone over for it. It's already there, so I don't know. I think, stop buying cars off Mercari and eBay and all these other places, and stop paying the premium. I'm sorry, but you just got to stop doing it. You got to get over it. Because it's the only one I don't have, and I have to pay $50 for this car, $100 for this Datsun 510 Super Treasure Hunt. You just got to stop. You got to stop doing it for a while, because if they can't get the money, they're only charging that much because that's what people are getting for it. So if you stop paying that stupid premium, I mean, I understand if somebody found a super treasure and they want to charge like $20-$30 or something for it, mark it up a bit. But if you're charging like 100 or $200 for something that's $1, it's got some rubber wheels on it, it's got a little bit nicer paint, but it's it's still not as cool as one of these cars, like, or one of these cars. I mean,
Mhm.
and these are just not something you have to fight over. You just purchase them and collect them, And so, yeah, I don't think Hot Wheels is doing, or Mattel's is doing that much. I mean, it's kind of apparent from that video that they're not organizing things properly. They don't have any foresight on what might happen if you just like let everything kind of go. Just you have to have some kind of like maybe just a system for these people, because they it's proven time and again that they can't be civilized about this kind of stuff when it comes to like the legend tours and just giving cars away. There's people cutting in line, people pushing each other. People can't be civilized. So that's just scratching the surface, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the you hit the nail on the head with they're going to charge this because people are willing to pay it. And it's the same thing with the big car problem. Like old big cars are so expensive now. You'll find a trashed rolling chassis 70 Dodge Charger and it's 15 grand, and it has no floorboards, it has no quarters, it's nothing, and they're charging that because people are willing to pay it. And I get it. Like there's you're free to complain all you want about the scalping problem, but if you really want, if you're a collector and you have decided it ain't the same without the flame, I gotta have Hot Wheels, I gotta have the STH series, like that's my thing, then you have joined the game. And if the game is doing this thing and people are paying it, then guess what? That's the cost of playing the game.
Yeah.
And and if you're going to feed into it, yeah, it's not going to make anything better. But until you can get everybody to collectively be like, no, we're not going to do this, then the price that's there is the price that's there, and you can buy it or not buy it, and you can be mad all day about it. And that's kind of where I come down on that. Is it's frustrating. It'd be awesome to take my kid to Walmart and have her find a super on the shelf, or have her take part in that, and realize that you could have just as much shot at 2:00 in the afternoon as you do at 6:00 in the morning if you showed up 6 days a week or 7 days a week, like some of these folks. But yeah, so good points, Mark. David, how about you?
I agree with both of y'all. I mean, 100%. Mark's right. They would, you can't fault somebody for selling it and getting the money for it if people are going to buy it. And nobody's ever going to change that behavior. We live in America. That's capitalism 101.
Yeah.
I like Chuck's point. If this is what you choose to collect, this is what you're in for. You're in for a cage fight. Every new case that comes out, every new super, it quickly dawned on me that I was not going to be able to hunt like I would need to find these. I didn't even like a lot of the supers that came out, if I'm honest, guys.
Not recently.
Yeah. And even back then, like, I'm kind of an old fuddy-duddy anyway, but my style was not for a lot of the gassers and stuff like that. But all that to say, my preferences evolved, and I wasn't gonna fight with the guys that are out there every morning. So I chose to go the premium brand route, and I love it. I don't know what to tell you guys that complain about paying for super prices and do it month to month. The only way to change that behavior is to not give them the money. And how many videos do we see, guys, where people are out hunting? And I think of, Derek, Honest Diecast, just jumps to mind in this instance where he shows something that was hot 3 months ago and says, hope you guys didn't pay those eBay prices. Here they are. And sure enough, there's 5 Nissan sets sitting on a Walmart shelf, $24.99, when people were throwing $150 at people 3 or 4 months ago. I think, Chuck, you'll mention this later. Patience is something a lot of us don't have anymore. And when you are building a collection, that is a component that often gets overlooked, and you got to have it, or you are going to, you're going to run your budget into the ground. That's my thoughts.
Absolutely. And it's the same with, I think, any hobby. Like, you gotta, if you set out a goal for yourself, you should probably look into the risks before that. It's funny, as Reddit has decided that I need to be into coin collecting, and it just keeps sending me all these suggested things for the coin rolling.
I agree. I think you should really get into coin
You look
collecting.
like
absolutely.
a newsomatic.
Exactly. Because I definitely need another hobby. I mean, at least then you know that it's never going to be worth less than what the face value is. But but those guys, they talk about it in the comments all the time, because now I'm actually kind of getting into it, and I'm like, what's going on with this dollar coin? Why is it so special? And they go, if you've got to be aware that these coins will, if you really want this coin, you're going to pay $500 for it. And so it's part of the thing. I'm going to go over to the comments really quick. We got a couple of good ones. So I am going to read, let's see. Diecast Connoisseur says, I will simply not buy scalper prices. If I can't find Hot Wheels stuff in the store, I'm not buying it. Keeps my collection manageable anyways. Brady says, yeah, the simple solution is just not buy new releases off eBay, but the FOMO is so strong, people just can't take it. And that, again, I agree with you there. The patience thing is key. A lot of these, especially when people are paying so much for like mainline cars, like we're not even talking about the super treasure hunts. They're going on and paying $15 because they got to have that Liberty Walk Sylvia. And I'll walk into Publix and find both the black one and the gold one sitting on the shelf a few months later. Give those things time, and they will come out, or just be an opportunist when it comes to diecast events in your area. Go to those. You're going to find a much better price for many things. Even highly collectible cars are going to be a little cheaper at a live event than you're going to find them online, once you factor in shipping and all the other hassles. So, Brady continues, I beat the scalpers by just not caring. I collect a lot of older stuff than new releases. Can't scalp something that's been in the pegs off the pegs for 35 years. That's another good point too, and something I wanted to ask you, because at what point is it reselling and at what point is it scalping? So, because there are plenty of folks, and we are friends with some of them, who are diecast resellers, and they secure and they negotiate and they buy up collections, and then they it's funny to me, like if like Diecast Extreme, if he goes somewhere and he buys up an estate sales collection of Hot Wheels, I have no problem with that. And I know he's going to sell them. He's going to go through and he's going to mark them up and sell them.
Make money too.
Yeah, exactly. And he's there. And it's funny to me, because that's, that doesn't sound like scalping at all, even though theoretically it's the same thing as being an opportunist and showing up and buying something new off the shelf and then flipping it. So I think there's like this thing in our heads where if it's a new release, it's scalping. And if it's something that you bought from a collection, or it's been out of circulation for a while,
vintage.
Yes, it's vintage. You're a reseller then. And I think that's the defining thing for me, is like, if it's something that's currently available and on the shelves and you're selling it for more, I think that's what makes it scalping. Do you guys agree?
Oh yeah. It's still on the shelves. You can go and grab it yourself.
Right.
People are charging $30-$40 for something that's $8.99 or $7.99 for a premium.
Right.
It's pretty messed up. I mean, if they're charging like $5 more or $10 more, like whatever, but it's like, I think the biggest thing that's kind of just make friends in your area, just like become buddies with other people and just have people look out, because you got different schedules. You're going, like, I'll go at night, you go in the morning. If you really want something bad enough and you got some Hot Wheels buddies or whatever you're into, M2, or because of course it's a whole diecast thing. It's not just Hot Wheels. But
and I think that's part of the thing where like there's the part of the hobby that I love, which is the part that draws people together, and they go, okay, well, I'm looking for this car, you've got that car, let's trade, let's work something out. And we do it in the forums, or we do it on YouTube, or Instagram, however you want to do it. And that's great. It's like my brother always is sending me pictures from, he lives in Knoxville, and he's like, okay, do you have this one? Do you have that one? Do you have I'll send him a list, keep me updated on these. And that's part of the fun that grows the hobby. I think, like you said, like the amount of effort that you have to put in to do this, if you're going to be a professional at this sort of thing, like the amount of time, like think about the hours of your day where you have to drive to the Walmart, or you have to, stake this out or get up that much earlier every day and spend the first, you're starting your day that way. How does that mess with you over time? So, invest in, I think that was an excellent point from Mark, invest in a business, or find, there are so many other ways. If you start looking at your very most precious resource on earth, your time, and you think if somebody was paying me for that time, like, okay, I was able to get a super and sell it for $40, and all it took was, an extra 4 hours of my day, or 5 hours of my day. Yeah. And then you got to pay the eBay fees and the other stuff on top of it, and then the cost of boxing it up and sending it. And at the end of the day, you worked 4 hours to make maybe $15,
where your treasure is, there's your heart. That's, I mean, where you're spending your most precious commodity. That's what's most important to you. Brady has a good point. Comes down to intent, guys. Is the seller looking to rip somebody's head off? I mean, I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying I can even define what someone's intent is, but that does make a lot of sense to me when I think about why is someone buying what they're buying. Is it strictly to, profit as much as they can off of somebody? And Chuck, I think you had a valid point. And maybe, the three of us kind of, not that we set out to define scalping, but that helps me a lot to think if it's still on the shelves, maybe you leave it there for everyone else to have a fair shot. And if you have to go somewhere else to buy it, then you're just glad someone else had it. And
sure.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just rambling, but
no. That's a good point. And again, I get it. It's tempting. Even if if you see a bunch of Xamax or the Target red cars, or you see an ultra red Auto World or a White Lightning, and it might even be a car you already have, or you may not collect on it. You might go, it's tempting to go, okay, well, I can have this in my collection. I can use it for trading. And even then, I think that's okay. It's okay if you're going to pick up the card and use it for trading. That seems less bad in my head. But, Fordsman Diecast Garage has a good point. He's been collecting since 1998, and it was around then. And when I started collecting, I've just learned to adapt to it and just keep moving forward. And I think it's like we've said, it's part of the game. And Mike Ramel, who says, up here in North Florida. Hi, North Florida. Where are you? I'm in Gainesville. They have a Mattel employee that has a deal with Walmart to get to the boxes, and he himself sells them on the net. I myself have seen him in the morning. That's sad. And that is sad. There are some folks who do that, some Walmart employees. And I get that, you're working there, it's available, and you're already there. You're not putting in that extra time investment. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, are we, is this really the best way to supplement your income or whatever? And I, I'm sure that it doesn't pay a lot to work at Walmart, so I'm not going to be one to judge, but yeah, it's just endemic. And so I had a few suggestions as well, because I've thought about it. Something I saw when y'all were at the Diecast SuperCon, the vending machines, where you go up and you can put them in, and you have to, that would cut down on the theft aspect too. Of course, you can't have a vending machine that's the size of several dump bins like many stores have. So, and you'd have people feeding bills in all day. So that's not really, I think, a practical solution. Scale Enthusiasm kind of poached my idea before I could say it, which was to put them in blind bags. If you're gonna do a super treasure hunt series, then we do the blind bags, kind of like the ones that they already have, except without the numbers printed on them in the little window. And you go, okay, well, if I'm going to get into the super treasure hunt series, then I can buy from these blind bags, and I have just as good a shot of getting them as anyone else. And if you want to buy them all up, you can do that. That's that's your prerogative. But David, you sent me an interesting picture on that note that I wanted to flash up here, and that's this photo. It says Target reserves the right to prohibit purchasers of any merchandise to resellers. Resellers are defined as a company or individual that purchases goods with the intention of selling them rather than using them. So that's your definition there. We're all looking around the corner of this thing.
Right.
Target does not accept the resale IDs of Texas, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, so the stores are aware it's a problem, obviously. And I think that's interesting. I don't know how Target intends to enforce that. But and I've seen that done, several times with folks from the local flea market that'll come in and just buy all of the cars off the shelves and then sell them on their flea market thing for a couple of bucks more. And the thing is, guys, you don't have to do that. Like, there are stores, like, you can actually, through Dollar Tree, buy your own case of and then you have a decent enough shot. If you're a bulk collector and you want to build your collection faster, you want to resell them that way, that's a great way to do it. And you pay $72 and you get, I think it's a little more now because it's the price, but there's your case, and you've got just as good a shot as anybody else. And you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to be there at 6 a.m. to waste your time most of the days. That's the other thing too, is like, think about the opportunity cost of the days that you spend going, and there's nothing, like this constant fishing type thing. So, yeah, thank you, Scale Enthusiasm, for that. He also mentioned old things are different. They have had time for the market to appreciate them, and no more are going to be made. Nothing similar is going to be made again.
That's true. Good point. And Rob just dropping bomb after bomb here. One of his other comments is he brings up a good point. The scalpers, they could buy 50 of them. If they don't sell them, you return 40 of them. Target says, yes, sir, here's your $40 back. And they really haven't lost anything other than an extra trip back to Target. So what do you do about that? Well, there really is no penalty for buying every single car on the pegs when you can return it if you don't sell it.
30 days, yeah.
Again, I'm not offering solutions here.
Yeah, so this is the one where Rob said, what if Mattel offered the TCG model and just sold everything in a blind bagger pack? Not a serious recommendation in the cast that wasn't obvious. Well, I thought it was serious, Rob. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, a lot of great comments. Thank you, everybody, for putting them down. David Parker says, I'll wait a year to buy a car. I refuse to play the game. You can't police ethics and morality. Being a part of the New Jersey Diecast Car Club, we look out for each other. So that's nice. That's another thing you can do. Start a Diecast Car Club, and you can have dues, and you can use that to buy cars, and everybody trades. And and that's the part of the hobby that we got into this for, was the opportunity to share our crazy obsession with tiny cars with other people who share that obsession. So Eddie says, you stop it by not putting these cars in boxes, and you just sell them like an RLC car, and the scalpers will be crying. And that's another thing too, is, if they wanted to do, like, the super treasure hunts are not that new of a thing. And as Tony and Mike pointed out when we interviewed them for round 2, it wasn't a thing until Johnny Lightning made it a thing in like the 90s. So, this isn't like some grand tradition that we have where, there was always these super treasure hunts. Like, they've been around since like the early 2000s, mid 2000s when they started doing them. And even then those weren't as fancy as the ones now. Like, they actually were a lot easier to find then. But we've all seen the rushing of the pegs in that old video of 87 of these grown men diving into dump bins. So yeah, it's not anything that's new, but anyway, those are some great comments and questions. Also wanted to, since this is something that everybody is doing now, I went on to our friend ChatGPT and asked it what it would do about this sort of thing. So I asked it what to do for the different players in the game, and it said, advice for manufacturers like Hot Wheels: increase production. The primary reason scalping occurs is due to limited supply. By increasing the production numbers to desirable models, the rarity decreases, which reduces the possibility of scalping. However, manufacturers do this carefully to avoid oversaturation, which can lead to decreased overall interest in the hobby. Fair enough. Distribution changes. Manufacturers could consider altering their distribution strategies and could involve direct consumer sales and more limited edition models or priority access to collectors. Anti-scalping measures are on official online sales, implement advanced bot detection, which I don't think they're ever going to do, and stricter buying limits on the limited editions. This could involve digital queue systems where potential buyers sign up for a chance to buy the limited edition, and that's more or less what it is. Transparent release schedules. Publicizing release schedules might allow collectors to anticipate when and where certain models will become available. Well, that's just the letter cases and stuff. So I think that's stuff that's already there. And it offered some other stuff for the hobbyists and encouraged reporting of scalpers and retail policies and actually legislation. It was like, we can make this a law. And I was like, I don't think that's really the solution here.
Calm down, chatbot.
Yes, calm down, authoritarian chatbot. It's okay. We don't need to make it illegal.
You're get arrested for reselling.
Yeah, it's like some jurisdictions have introduced legislation aimed at reducing ticket scalping for concerts and sports events. And yeah, okay, I kind of get that, but similar legislation. But I think that's like also because they're out on the street hawking these things. So, but yeah, anyway, before we ask the government to legislate these, we're going to take another break. And then when we come back, we're going to have a new feature called Diecast Piece Theater, which I'm really excited to do. So stick around.
Don't touch the dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages.
This episode of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by you. That's right. We are 100% viewer and listener supported, and we are so grateful for those of you who have already supported the podcast and the shows we're planning to add to the Diecast Media Network family. You can find out more about how to support this project by visiting diecastmedianetwork.com or email us about sponsoring an episode at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The best way you can support what we're doing right now, though, is to subscribe and share these episodes with your family, friends, and Facebook groups. Anyone you think would enjoy what we're doing. Any extra attention we can get early on will go a huge way in helping this project grow. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with us.
Hello, this is Diecast Dude from the Netherlands, and you are watching Diecast Breakdown.
This presentation of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by Twice Diecast and Dotson Man Diecast on YouTube. Please visit their links in the show notes and subscribe to their channels for more epic Diecast content.
Alright guys, this is Mad Vision here. You guys are watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
All right. Well, we are back. Lots of great comments. Too many to get to. I've been flashing a few of them on screen. So if you're listening on this audio format and you weren't aware that we had a video format, go over to Diecast Breakdown on YouTube, which is at the Diecast Media Network channel. And you can see the video version where we have put out a bunch of people's comments. And it's been really informative. Rob is offering a gentle correction that Hot Wheels introduced the treasure hunts for the 1995 release. They have always been hyped hunted like Super Treasure Hunts are today. So, and we have given a lot of attention to the Super Treasure Hunts, but of course this is something that is a problem for the other players in the game as well, especially those at Walmart like Johnny Lightning and M2 and Greenlight and Auto World. So, yes, and the like. So while I was playing around with ChatGPT, I asked it to create a little sketch for us. So we're going to try acting this thing out. I am going to be narrating. Mark is going to be playing Marky McScalper, a character that is completely unlike him in every way. I just needed a funny name, and that was the first thing that came up. And David will be playing a gentleman named David, who I did not ask it any descriptions of him. I just decided some things about him that I am not going to say because those are not true. So anyway, here we go. We got some music here. Meet David, just a regular diecast enthusiast out to find the next addition to his collection. David, a man in casual attire, waves at the camera and proceeds to walk into Walmart. And this is Marky McScalper. Marky, a young, excitable man with dollar signs on his shirt, is feverishly ripping open a fresh case of Hot Wheels. Marky says,
look at this, viewers. Another super treasure hunt for me and my haters for you. Holds up a car, winks at the camera.
David approaches Marky and laughs gently.
Marky, my boy, you're missing the point of the whole hobby.
Oh, yeah? And what's that, old man?
The joy of the hunt, Marky. It's about the thrill of finding that one special car, not the cash you make from selling it. And what's more, when you scalp, you're not just ruining the fun for others, you're disrespecting the spirit of the hobby. Why don't you try it, Marky? Try collecting, not for profit, but for the love of it. I promise you the satisfaction of finding a car you love, not because it's rare or expensive, but because it means something to you, that's more valuable than any quick buck.
Marky looks at David, then at the super treasure hunt in his hand, and then at his camera. Mark tearfully says,
You're right, David. I've been blinded by greed. No more scalping for me. From now on, I'll collect for the love of it.
David claps Marky on the shoulder.
Touch me, old man.
That's the spirit, son.
And we cut to black. The narrator says, remember, folks, in the world of collecting, it's the joy of the hunt, not the price of the catch. Stay cool. Collect with your heart, not your wallet. And scene. And that was amazing. Thank you both.
Viewers, I apologize for that.
Oh, well, Rob says it was beautiful.
Give those men
thank you,
Oscar.
everybody. That was absolutely fantastic. And probably the last time we have ChatGPT write us a sketch, but we can all live in a fantasy world where a scene like that happens, and instead of a fist fight, we get some wise words from a kindly gentleman named David. Yes.
What? Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Thanks, old man David.
Sorry you missed Diecast Piece Theater.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yes,
I bet you were wondering what was going on.
It's on the replay. So, all right. Well, I think that's about it for me. What else have we got? What are there?
I got a few.
Sure.
Listen, I got a few suggestions. I got a few from a bona fide hunter. Derek at Honest Diecast. He's out there beating the pavement to get us some content. He said if he were talking to Mattel, get distribution back to where it was before COVID. Some stores aren't even getting premium sets, guys. Like I don't know, whatever some of the latest ones. Like there are just these black holes in the distribution map that where entire regions of the country aren't even getting those cases. He thought it'd be a good idea to see what you guys think about this. Target Reds, Zamax, Kroger exclusives. Send them everywhere. Send them all over the world. Don't make that a deal here in the States only. How about this idea? Stop numbering RLCs. Treat them like RLC selections, which are custom made. There's no run number. As many as they sell, they're going to make it. You wait a year for it, and then you get it. And then we got to figure out a way to fight the RLC bots, and that really is a big deal. I don't know if you guys caught it recently, and I haven't been in the RLC game too long, and you commenters can let me know. I think they added some safeguard in there where you had to add something to your cart before it would process your order to prove that you weren't a bot. Last thing that we had was security at the manufacturing places. No more cars at the rear end coming out of the factory.
Keister cars.
Keep those keisters closed.
Yep.
Maybe have a special addition to the uniform that prevents such a thing from.
Yeah, when people are walking out of the factory all funny, just like they're kind of waddling and stuff, that's a sure sign that something's squishy.
Yeah. So, Mark, you got any more solutions to the problem that we've talked so far?
I think one of the biggest things is like you guys are talking about manufacturers, but they actually have to care first. They actually truly have to care about their consumers, and I think even like with Junimai, with the Kaido House cars, there was rumors that you knew the placement of the chase car in the case. Like there was a spot that it would be. So they found out that they were doing that. They didn't even realize they were doing that. And then they changed it, So, now you might have a chance to get a chase car, but you have to it always comes from the top down. So you got to actually care about the frustration of your consumer, because if you don't, then they'll stop buying your stuff. Because I've kind of started to walk away from Hot Wheels, to be honest with you. Mark McHotwheel, maybe changing his name soon enough, because I don't feel like they're looking out for the collector's best interest necessarily anymore so much. With RLCs, with Super Treasure Hunts, with just cars in general, it's just kind of like, we're not going to change it. We're just going to keep doing it. We're not going to make any modifications. It's kind of, and that's frustrating. It kind of makes you just want to, like I said, start collecting some really, really cool cars. Like, maybe Time works. I don't know.
Yes, our not sponsored, kind of unofficial sponsor, but that's another episode for another time. And I'll agree with you too. Also not sponsored. I have kind of stepped away from the Hot Wheels bit. Some, I will pick up some of the premiums if I see them, if they're opportunities. But I decided, like this year, I am not buying any Hot Wheels of any kind on the internet. I can buy them for myself if I see them at a store, or if I see them at a vintage shop or at a diecast gathering, then it's okay, because I fall victim to FOMO just as much as anyone else has, and I've even had to go as far as saying, okay, well, if it is a diecast that has been out in the last decade, I'm not going to buy it online, because especially if you're buying to customize, or if you're buying because you just like a particular casting, those castings come back around. I mean, who could have predicted the 82 Seville would make a reappearance, or the Dodge Rampage, for crying out loud? It's back. And so for me, it's just going, okay, well, be patient. If it's something that you have to have, if it's got a livery that is very meaningful for you, then okay, that's what it's going to be worth, what it's worth, because that is a premium thing for you. And in that case, go for it. But if you're just doing it because you want to round out your collection, or you want to have this particular casting because it has just come out, another good example, M2 had this really cool 32 Ford Roadster that just came out for the Valentine series, and I wanted to get that, and I was really frustrated because it was not showing up in my stores, and I was like, don't buy it online, wait, it'll show up. And sure enough, in May, the Valentine's guys have finally showed up, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why some cases arrive months later than others, but yeah, it's an interesting problem to have. And and again, it's solved with patience, and it's just thinking about the value. We showed you a bunch of cars that you will never during the news and reviews, and we've talked about them, that like Mark said, Tarmac Works makes an amazing car. Mini GT, these smaller
Yeah,
brands,
64.
even Para 64, this new one, the poster cars that David's found, and those are so much, I get it if Hot Wheels is like a nostalgia thing and that pushes your nostalgia button, but guess what? Nostalgia has a price tag. And if you're doing it because you love the cars, then there's these other brands out there like that Kaido house. Like I've seen people paying as much for that Kaido house as they did for a mainline Chevy Silverado that is currently available if you wait for it. And for $1.18 at Walmart, and they're paying $20 for it. It just doesn't make sense. And Kaido House makes beautiful cars. Tarmac Works makes beautiful cars. Para 64, beautiful cars that are all under $30. Like, and you look at like, and most of them are less than that. Like this Dodge van from Tarmac Works is it was 15. Yep. And it's great. It's I'm gonna do an unboxing video of it later. That's why it's wrapping, but it's amazing. So only Diecast brings up an important point. Kaido House does not carry Camaros.
Yeah.
Enough. Well, they didn't carry Silverados until just recently, a little while ago. And I think if you've watched any of our interviews with diecast manufacturers, they listen when you ask them. Like, so go on their Instagram pages, find their email addresses, petition them. And you know what? These smaller guys, they're hungry. They want to give you the stuff that you want. So they'll listen. They might even make a 93 Saturn. Who knows?
We never would have guessed that Mini GT would be making a Lincoln Capri, right, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. Got to give the people what they want.
Yes.
Yep. Well said.
I guess Life and Death has a interesting question for Mark. This is an unpopular opinion, but why is the Skyline Godzilla so popular? I think it's a total joke on the hobby. I think he's talking about the Hot Wheels one specifically.
Yeah, the white one.
Mm-hmm.
White, which one?
It's white with Godzilla on it. It's just weird. People just decided it was going to be the hot car.
It's a main line. It's not even a like. Am I right that it was a main line?
It is. Yep.
Yeah. It's just but I think that the R34 body in general, like the pink one that just came out that everybody lost their mind over, those are just very strange to me. But yeah, I guess the R34 is a legend, and it became even more legendary because it was not available here in the US. And I think that's what did it. And I think, Paul Walker, exactly. I was going to say the Fast and Furious tax hits, you put a car in there and all of a sudden it's desirable. Heck, I just saw a guy, Chris Cook, who has a perfect Herbie replica, just finished. I'm trying to get him to send pictures to Chad Lindbergh, which actually it turned out he actually has a sun visor that's signed by Chad Lindbergh, but he did the Chad Lindbergh VW Jetta, down to everything except he does have brake calipers on the front wheels. I know that's something that a lot of people have pointed out. If you watch that movie, that Jetta does not have brake calipers on the front.
Stop!
Yeah. Still no Passat for David.
Nope.
I guess this points out. No, we're still working on more Chinese Passats. So anyway, well, it is at an hour, and these gentlemen have kindly given me and you a good chunk of their day. Speaking of hours of time, and thank you so much.
Acting takes it out of you, Chuck.
I know, right? I got to get these guys SAG cards now. It's a whole thing. But anyway, this has been a really great discussion. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your comments. There were a lot of them, and they were fantastic. Again, people who are listening, go check out the video. I tried to put as many of them up on screen as I could while we were talking about them. But really appreciate that. Really appreciate our patrons who have made all of this possible. A shout out to them. Again, a shout out to Derek and Honest Diecast, who I just realized I misspelled his name on this card. I need to fix that. And Dane Self, who are our newest patrons, and these amazing people that are willing to give us.
Thank you, Dane.
A decent chunk of our this is the only way we really make anything off of this, and all of that goes straight to covering things like StreamYard, which we're using right now, and the other things that host the show. But and before you go too far, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, punch the bell so you know when our next episodes come out. We've been pretty good at getting things out on a weekly basis, and I'm really, proud of the whole team for really rallying around that and making that happen. So, and again, please go check out Twice Diecast and Dotson Man Diecast and Auto Peak Detailing and all the other myriad of channels that Mark has. Am I missing any?
One thing, but when you're done here,
Right.
and just Old Man Diecast and just a reminder, happy Memorial Weekend, everyone. So just thank our current enlisted, our soldiers, our and then all of our veterans and everything. So that's
and guys, we also got we don't want to end on a down note, but we had a really impactful member of our community pass away this past week, and you guys, almost all of you already know who I'm talking about. Chris Walker, Night Stalker Customs, has such a big influence on our hobby, on Hot Wheels especially, and he was a absolute joy to get to know, and it really, really sucks that we won't get to interview him again. So I'll let you guys say what you want to say, but
thank you for reminding me. Yes, that was a horrible thing, and my heart hurts for his family. It hurts for Mike Zarnock. I know they were super close. Mike has said that it's like losing a brother. And I think it is exactly like losing a brother. Like those guys, they made t-shirts of each other. Like they were super tight. Like it's rare that you see men that can have that kind of friendship and have it last that long. And so, we, grieve with him as well.
Yeah. You couldn't set it better, Chuck. It's just prayers going out to his family, Chris's family, and Mike, and everyone that was close to Chris, because he had a lot of friends. And just watching, I encourage everyone to go watch his stuff and to see what kind of light that he brought to the community, and how upbeat and funny and just goofy that guy was. And he will be missed immensely. And it's just another reminder to tell people that you love, that you love them every day, because you never know when your time's up. And it's super sad, but it's just another reminder. He's gone, but it's not forgotten. We just continue to honor him, and just remember who he was as a person. And it's really, really a tragedy. For sure.
Indeed. So thank you, David, for reminding me of that. We had made a post about it earlier, but we did want to make sure we mentioned it on the show. And we are grateful to him for agreeing to be one of our first guests on the show back when this thing was first getting started. It was very kind of him to be open and available. And, we appreciate that, and we'll be forever grateful to him, as will everybody who he touched in the diecast community. So, all right. Well, on that note, we wanted to wish everybody a happy and honor-filled Memorial Day weekend. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday. Again, check out the podcast, and
if you
we'll see you next time.
Please
Take care.
rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
Don't do what I do,
Friend
Dave.
to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms, or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.